March 8, 2014, South China Sea. A massive Boeing 777 with 239 people on board vanished from radar at 35,000 feet, but kept flying for 7 more hours in complete darkness while something or someone controlled it toward the most remote corner of Earth. What really happened in those final 7 hours that investigators still can't explain? The plane was supposed to land in Beijing at 6 in the morning. Flight MH370 left Kuala Lumpur just after midnight on March 8, 2014. It was a Friday. The Boeing 777 was huge, weighing 250 tons when fully loaded. Inside sat 227 passengers. 12 crew members took care of them. Families heading home. Business people going to meetings. A group of Chinese artists returning from an exhibition. Small children holding stuffed animals. Everyone expected to see the sunrise in China. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah sat in the left seat. He was 53 years old. He had flown planes for 33 years. He had logged 18,000 hours in the sky. He knew the Boeing 777 better than most pilots in the world. He was a training captain, which meant he taught other pilots how to fly. Next to him sat First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, only 27 years old, recently trained on this exact aircraft. The cockpit smelled like coffee and recycled air. Outside the windows, only darkness and stars. At 1:19:30 in the morning, Captain Zahari spoke his last words to air traffic control. "Good night, Malaysian 370. His voice was calm, normal, routine. The plane had been flying for 38 minutes. Everything was perfect. The aircraft climbed smoothly at 35,000 feet. The night was clear. No storms, no turbulence. The Boeing 777 was one of the safest planes ever built. This particular aircraft had been checked just 9 days before. Every system worked correctly. 2 minutes later, something changed. At 1:21 in the morning, a computer system called ACARS stopped sending messages. ACARS automatically reports the plane's position, speed, and health to the ground every 30 minutes. It just went silent. No warning, no distress call. 1 minute the plane was talking to the world, the next minute, nothing. Then the transponder turned off. The transponder is what makes the plane visible on radar screens. It tells controllers where the plane is, how high it flies, how fast it moves. When it went dark, Flight MH370 became invisible to civilian radar. Air traffic controllers in Kuala Lumpur expected the plane to check in with Vietnam. The boundary between Malaysian and Vietnamese airspace was right there, but Vietnam never heard from Flight MH370. Controllers waited. They called. No answer. They called Malaysia. "Did you hand off the plane?" "Yes," Malaysia said. "We gave them to you." But the plane never arrived. Somewhere between two countries, a massive aircraft with 239 people simply vanished. But the plane did not crash. Not yet. Malaysian military radar, which sees things civilian radar cannot, caught something strange. The Boeing 777 had turned around, not a gentle curve, a sharp, deliberate turn. It came back over Malaysia. It flew directly over Penang Island on the country's west coast. See, the plane that was supposed to be heading northeast toward Beijing was now flying northwest, away from its destination, away from help, toward the Andaman Sea. The military radar watched it until 2:22 in the morning. Then, even military radar lost it. The official story started immediately. Technical problems, they said. Maybe a fire. Maybe the plane lost pressure and everyone passed out. Maybe catastrophic failure. But none of those explanations fit. A fire does not make a plane turn back with such precision. A depressurized cabin does not make a plane fly a specific route. And catastrophic failure means the plane falls from the sky in minutes, not hours. 3 minutes after the military lost radar contact, something impossible happened. At 2:25 in the morning, The plane's satellite system turned back on. Not ACARS. Not the transponder, but a different system that connected to a satellite network above the Indian Ocean. The system sent a log on request, like a phone trying to reconnect to a tower. Someone, or something, had powered the system back on after shutting it down. The satellite recorded the request. The plane was still flying, still alive, still moving through the dark sky. But now, it was a ghost, and it would keep flying for 7 more hours while the world wondered where it went. The satellite did not forget. Every hour it checked if the plane was still there, like a computer saying, "Hello, are you there?" and the plane automatically answering, "Yes, I am here." The satellite company was called Inmarsat. Their network covered the whole Indian Ocean. In Flight MH370's satellite system sent these automatic hellos even though no one in the cockpit was answering calls from the ground. At 2:39 in the morning, someone on the ground tried to call the plane. Airlines can call their aircraft using satellite phones. The call went through the system. It rang in the cockpit, but nobody picked up. 14 minutes later, another automatic ping from the plane to the satellite. Still flying. At 3:30 in the morning, Malaysia Airlines Operations Center finally admitted their earlier position data was not reliable. They did not know where their own plane was. At 5:30 in the morning, 4 hours after losing contact, they activated rescue coordination. 4 hours. At 7:13 in the morning, another call from the ground to the cockpit. Again, no answer. Yet the plane kept pinging the satellite. 8:11 in the morning. Final complete handshake between plane and satellite. 8 minutes later, at 8:19, a partial ping. Different from the others. Weaker. Engineers later said this was probably the plane running out of fuel, the engines dying, the systems failing. At 9:15 in the morning, the satellite tried to ping the plane. Nothing came back. Silence. Flight MH370 was gone. But the pings told a story. Engineers at Inmarsat did something never done before. They measured tiny details in each ping, how long the signal took to travel, the frequency of the radio waves. These measurements could show distance and direction. Like measuring the sound of a car to know if it is coming toward you or driving away. The data showed 2 possible paths. One route went north through Thailand, China, all the way to Kazakhstan. The other went south into the empty Indian Ocean. Using something called the Doppler effect, the same thing that makes an ambulance siren change pitch as it passes you, they proved the plane went south. The search started in the wrong place. For days, ships and planes looked in the South China Sea between Malaysia and Vietnam. They found nothing because the plane was not there. It had turned back. On March 17th, 9 days after the disappearance, Australia took control of the search. They focused on the southern Indian Ocean, 1,800 kilometers southwest of Perth. The search area was 120,000 square kilometers. The ocean floor dropped to 6,000 meters deep. 26 countries joined the search, and it became the most expensive aviation search in history. Something was wrong with the information. Malaysia Airlines announced the plane was lost at 7:24 in the morning on March 8th. But the satellite data showed the plane was still flying at that exact moment. It would fly for almost another hour. Vietnam said they saw the plane turn back on their radar. They told Malaysian authorities twice on March 8th. Malaysia did not share this information with the world right away. Thailand detected the unknown aircraft on military radar but stayed silent for days. Indonesia's radar never saw the plane even though it probably flew near Sumatra. Countries were not talking to each other. 16 months passed. On July 29, 2015, a man cleaning a beach on Reunion Island found a piece of metal in the sand. Reunion Island sits near Madagascar, off the coast of Africa, thousands of miles from where the plane vanished. The piece was called a flaperon. It comes from the wing of a plane. Experts examined it. On September 3, 2015, They confirmed it belonged to flight MH370. The ocean currents had carried it across the Indian Ocean for a year and 4 months. Then investigators found something that made the mystery darker. The FBI looked at Captain Zahari's home computer. They recovered deleted files. The captain had a flight simulator at home, which is normal for pilots who love flying, but the deleted data showed something strange. 5 weeks before MH370 disappeared, on February 2, 2014, the captain ran a specific simulation. He programmed a Boeing 777 flight that took off from Kuala Lumpur, flew up the Malacca Strait, past Sumatra, turned south, and ended with zero fuel over the remote southern Indian Ocean. The exact route matched where investigators thought MH370 had gone. The simulation ended in the same empty water where they were searching for the real plane. The Malaysian government said the simulator data was nothing. Nothing sinister, they told the world, but in 2016, someone leaked documents to the public. The truth came out. The simulation route was too similar to ignore. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau, the group leading the search, admitted in their 2017 report that the simulator data influenced where they looked. Malaysia had hidden this information from their official report. They knew about it. They did not tell everyone. People started asking harder questions about Captain Zahari. He was 53 years old, a father of 3. He started flying with Malaysia Airlines in 1981, 33 years of the loyal service. He trained other pilots. Everyone who knew him said he loved flying more than anything. But small details emerged. His family had moved out the day before the flight, though some disputed this fact. Someone called his phone 2 minutes before the flight, a woman nobody could identify. He supported an opposition politician named Anwar Ibrahim, who was sentenced to jail on March 7, 2014, 1 day before the flight. The FBI searched his house, his computer, his whole life. At first, they said nothing suspicious. Later, they said the simulation similarities cannot be ignored. Malaysian investigators found no suicide note, no evidence he believed in extremism, no money problems, no history of mental illness, just one piece of evidence. The simulator data, that was all. His sister, Sakinab Shah, defended him. She said her brother was being used as a scapegoat, someone to blame when there were no answers. The first officer, Fariq Abdul Hamid, was only 27. He had just finished training on the Boeing 777. Young, inexperienced compared to the captain, nobody accused him of anything. He became invisible in the story. 2 theories fought each other. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau believed in hypoxia. The crew became unconscious, maybe from losing cabin pressure, maybe from a fire that consumed the oxygen. The plane flew on autopilot for hours until the fuel ran out. Then it crashed into the ocean in an uncontrolled dive. They pointed to evidence. A piece of the wing flap found off Tanzania in 2015 showed no deployment. The flaps were not extended. This suggested the pilots were not conscious to control the landing. The plane just fell. Other investigators disagreed. They examined the flaperon closely. The metal showed clean shearing on the trailing edges. Minimal damage on the leading edge. This, they said, meant a controlled descent. Someone guided the plane down gently, not a high-speed crash. And the simulator data matched the actual flight path too perfectly. Why would the captain practice this exact route 5 weeks earlier if he was not planning something? In February 2020, former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott said something shocking in a documentary. He said his very clear understanding from the very top levels of the Malaysian government was that from very, very early on, they thought it was murder-suicide by the pilot. The Malaysian government denied this. But the words were out. People in power believed the captain did this on purpose. Families waited in Beijing's crisis center. The sounds were terrible. Screaming, crying, mothers collapsing. They demanded answers nobody could give. In the Indian Ocean, search ships battled waves 5 to 6 meters high. Tropical cyclones stopped the search for days. The vessels worked thousands of kilometers from any port. They used sonar to map the seafloor never before seen by humans. They found ancient shipwrecks, underwater mountains, but no plane. Between 2015 and 2018, fewer than 30 pieces of debris washed ashore. Reunion Island, Madagascar, Mozambique, South Africa, Tanzania, Mauritius. Every piece matched Flight MH370. Wing fragments, interior panels, a door from the landing gear bay. Every single piece confirmed the plane broke apart somewhere in the Indian Ocean. But the main wreckage, the fuselage where 239 people sat, was never found. Then, in 2024, leaked documents revealed something new. Flight MH370 received extra fuel and extra crew oxygen supplies just before takeoff. This was beyond the standard loading. Routine maintenance had filled the crew oxygen system on March 7, 2014, the day before the flight. The crew oxygen system is separate from the passenger oxygen. If someone wanted to depressurize the cabin and kill everyone while staying alive in the cockpit, they would need extra oxygen. The timing felt wrong. Too convenient, too prepared, but it could also mean nothing. Routine maintenance happens every day. The document leak raised questions but proved nothing. The mystery got deeper, not clearer. At 8:19 in the morning on March 8, 2014, the satellite received its last partial ping from Flight MH370. The signal was weak and incomplete. Engineers said the plane was probably out of fuel. The engines had stopped. The Boeing 777 was falling from the sky into the darkest, deepest, most remote corner of the Indian Ocean, and everyone inside was already gone. On January 17, 2017, the initial search stopped. Ships had scanned 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor. They found nothing. The money ran out. The hope faded. On May 29, 2018, a private American company called Ocean Infinity finished their own search. They covered 200,000 square kilometers total, an area bigger than many countries. Still nothing. On July 30, 2018, Malaysia released their final safety investigation report, a huge document hundreds of pages long. The conclusion said they were unable to draw definitive conclusions. After 4 years, millions of dollars, 26 countries, countless experts, the answer was, we do not know. But the story did not end. On December 20, 2024, the Malaysian government agreed in principle to let Ocean Infinity search again. New technology, better equipment. On December 31, 2025, just weeks ago, the new search began. Autonomous underwater drones that can dive 20,000 feet into the black water are scanning the seafloor right now, looking for what everyone else could not find. Captain Zahari's sister still speaks to reporters. She burns with anger at how people talk about her brother. She calls the theories fabrication and lies. She says he is a scapegoat, blamed for something he did not do because investigators need someone to blame. She will defend him until she dies. The families of the 239 people received settlement payments from Malaysia Airlines, money for their loss. But no bodies came home. Chinese relatives still burn incense every March 8th. They hold press conferences demanding answers. Some have grown old waiting. Some have died waiting. Their children and grandchildren ask the same questions. The investigators who worked on MH370 retired. Some wrote books about what they found and what they believe. They give speeches at conferences. A few still analyze the data independently, convinced the plane is in a spot nobody has looked yet. They draw new maps. They run new calculations. They cannot let it go. The southern Indian Ocean search zone remains one of the loneliest places on Earth, 1,100 miles from Perth, Australia. No islands, no ships passing through, just water and wind and waves that never stop. The world changed because of MH370. Aviation authorities now require real-time tracking for commercial planes. The rule says planes must report their position every 15 minutes. Some airlines stream black box data continuously, so if a plane crashes, the information is already saved on the ground. But debate continues. Pilots' unions worry about privacy and cost. Airlines say the technology is expensive. Not everyone agrees on the solution. Questions were raised about how easy it is for a pilot to make an aircraft invisible. Turn off 2 switches and a plane vanishes from radar. Should that be possible? Should there be a way to stop it? Malaysia Airlines retired the flight numbers MH370 and MH371. Those numbers will never be used again. But there are things we still do not know. The exact crash location remains a mystery. Why did someone disable the transponder and ACARS systems? Why did the plane turn back over Malaysia? Why was the satellite system powered off and then turned back on at 2:25 in the morning? Who controlled the plane during those 7 hours of invisible flight? Were the passengers conscious? Did they know something was wrong? Did they suffer? What were the final moments before the plane hit the water? These questions have no answers. The case revealed something disturbing about our modern world. We believe we have total control. We track everything. Satellites watch from space. Radar covers the sky. Computers record every detail. We think a 250-ton aircraft carrying 239 people cannot simply disappear. But it did, in controlled airspace, in the age of total surveillance. It vanished, and 10 years later, we still cannot find it. Our technology failed. Our systems failed. Our certainty was an illusion. Flight MH370 shattered 3 things we took for granted: that planes cannot disappear, that pilots are always heroes who protect their passengers, that our advanced world has made the impossible impossible. Every assumption broke. We learned that the sky still holds secrets, that human intentions can overcome any system, that some mysteries resist every attempt to solve them. The satellite data is perfect and complete. 7 hours of automated pings from a dark cockpit. The math is exact. The calculations are verified. The data proves the plane flew south into the Indian Ocean and crashed when the fuel ran out. The data tells us where it went, but the data cannot tell us why. It cannot tell us who was in control. It cannot tell us what happened inside that aircraft during those 7 hours of flight toward nowhere. The numbers are cold and certain. The truth behind them remains hidden. Somewhere on the floor of the Indian Ocean, in water so deep that light has never reached it, in a darkness so complete that no human eye has ever seen it, 239 people rest. They wait in the wreckage of a Boeing 777, surrounded by crushing pressure and eternal cold. Their families wait on land, holding photographs and memories, burning incense and asking why. Yet investigators wait for new technology to find what the old technology could not. The world waits for closure that may never come. The question is not if we will find Flight MH370. New searches continue. Technology improves. The ocean does not keep secrets forever. One day, maybe soon, a drone will send back an image of twisted metal on the seafloor. We will recover the black boxes. We will hear what the cockpit voice recorder captured. We will know the final words spoken. We will have facts and evidence and timelines and proof. But will we understand why? Will the data explain the human choice that sent a plane full of people into the most remote corner of the planet? Can numbers and measurements ever answer the darkest question? Not what happened, but why someone chose it. And if we find the wreckage tomorrow, if we recover every piece and reconstruct every second, will it comfort the families, or will it make the horror more real? Some truths might be worse than mystery, but we cannot stop searching, because 239 people deserve to be found. And we need to know if the thing we fear most that someone we trusted betrayed that trust completely is actually true.